Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the nerd with the mouth, David.
Alliance Assemble.
Assemble.
Volume 284. We took a week off, as we kind of expected what we was going on, but we are back, and we've got a jam-packed episode for you this week. We are reviewing the first half of the episodes of Wonder Man, episodes 1 through 4, and we had a very surprise drop of the first official trailer. Full trailer of Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So we got a big, chunky show for you all tonight. You see Bear's Lair in there saying, oh man, went full throttle to watch all of Wonder Man. Did too much homework. Well, you're ready. I mean, David and I have seen the whole thing too, but you know, in order to give the show proper due and to spread out the content, we'll be reviewing it, half and half. But we've been off a week. How have you been, David?
I've been good other than the snowpocalypse that has engulfed half the country. We got a little bit of that, so I did not leave the house all last weekend. Finally left the house on Tuesday and waiting on the snow to finally work its way out here. We didn't get hit as hard as you guys, but other than that, that's just been my thing.
Yeah, we got hit with, it became an ice storm. So I mean, you want to talk about, we had everything ready to go, everything outside of a generator. And thankfully we didn't lose power. It hit us Saturday night into Sunday. And then, basically iced in, paid a couple of kids in the neighborhood $25 to shovel out my driveway with the ice. That was money well worth spent. But yeah, this was the first time recording Thursday. This was the first day we officially went back to school half day because of the ice. That's how bad it was in the area. So I've had work from home days basically Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And on Saturday, we have a legit snowstorm heading our way. 1-2 punch, which is rare for this area, but rare just getting legit snow. No ice, no winter remix, legit snow that ranges from 2 to 5 inches to possibly 8 to 11 inches. So it's all a matter of what front's going to hit us at this point. But you put snow in our area of North Carolina, it's touchdown. We're not planning on. We're pretty much taking bets of like how long we're going to be out next week. So. But hey, got some reading done, got some gaming done, got some family time. So it was time well spent. So we're looking forward to batting down the hatches. I got a new muffin recipe I'm gonna try out with bananas, peanut butter, eggs, and blueberries. So I'm gonna try that out on Saturday as the snow is coming down.
Ooh, that sounds good. My girlfriend experiments with sourdough. She just got some new stuff to make sourdough with, so I'm hoping to get some of that real soon. And that helps get through those cold times.
Bears Lair saying, yeah, I'm so over winter, working in rough, especially the day where it's negative 21 in the wheels. Ooh, yes, that's awful. Yeah, no, our heart goes out to you. So I'm glad we have now concluded the portion of Marvel Alliance where we talk about food we're making. So welcome to Food Talk on Marvel Alliance. So, but since we got a lot to talk about, let us get the lovely network plugs out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 6 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule, check out the show notes below and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GUAPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. Our $1 tiers, our tip jar to say, hey, you think we're doing a good job? And then our $5 tier with ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including the shows that we have in the back catalog for our patrons. We can watch this all day, the Infinity Saga Marvel Alliance MCU Rewatch, Tales from the House of X, where we watched our favorite movies from the Fox era of X-Men, and then the Baxter broadcast, the Fantastic Four retro film reviews. So we've got those in the back catalog. We've got DC Alliance guys doing their DC films through the years. We've got Joe during his Multiverse Minutes Disney Dives, looking on the 1st and the 15th of every month. The animated classics from Disney in chronological order. So check those out. We want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. But if you're not a member of our Patreon, totally understand. But if you are interested, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network so you can join our lovely Patreon. But at the very least, if you can take 30 to 90 seconds to rate and review us on the Marvel Line solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast, we greatly appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, panelboundcomics.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition need. JP and the crew at the PBC have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world, earn points to earn discounts on it. Got some new pre-orders up there. Got some Star Wars love this month. We got Star Wars Poe Dameron omnibus, first time in print. Star Wars Dark Droids omnibus from that miniseries. We got X-Men Age of Krakoa Reign of X Volume 1. So that is the second part of the Krakoa era in omnibus format. We got a new one for us X-Men fans. X-Men Blue and Gold Blood Ties omnibus. Affectionately, we are now calling that. There's Volume 1 of Blue and Gold. We're affectionately calling this Volume 3 because there's a lot missing in the middle. So Marvel has said that they will be doing it, but at a later time. What I want to do is give a big shout out to a series that's not Marvel related, but if you're not reading it, highly recommend it. Dick Tracy by Mad Cave. Highly recommend Dick Tracy by Mad Cave. If you think, oh, it's just gonna be hokey, no, this is Dick Tracy set in the right era, but just like with a good harder edge to it at that point. Really gets that kind of mob era of what Dick Tracy was in. But with all this stuff, use that code at Marvel GUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order, or MGUA SIT for 5% off when you order 4 or more books together. As always, lets them know you are a loyal listener, and we want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right. So let us talk about our non-spoiler thoughts of Wonder Man. So just we'll kind of. Oh, we did forget one thing. Thank you. As I'm scrolling down, see, I write these show notes and I don't think we do have the passing of a legend. We want to recognize in the Marvel fandom. Sal Buscema has passed away. We weren't sure I remember when news started breaking at that point, we weren't sure if it was a joke or something like that, but he was 89 years old when he passed a few days ago. He was 1 day away from celebrating his 90th birthday. Some little bit, in case you heard the name but don't know, huge name in the comics industry. He began his comics career inking his brother's pages in the 50s, later working in advertising and government illustration before joining Marvel full-time in 1968, earning the bullpen nickname Our Pal Sal. He gained reputation for speed under pressure, including drawing The Incredible Hulk for 10 years between 1975 and 1985 when the TV show was running. He drew an 8-year and 100-issue run on the Spectacular Spider-Man through the 80s and 90s, as well as working on The New Mutants, Captain America, The Defenders, Rom Space Knight, The Avengers, Submariner, and many others, and inking his own work. He also worked on The Amazing Spider-Girl in the 2000s with writer Tom DeFalco. Over the years, here are some of the characters he co-created. The Defenders, the World of Rom the Space Knight, Lady Deathstrike, Jean DeWolf, the U-Force, Ursa Major, Diamond Head, Squadron Sinister, Valkyrie, Grandmaster Hyperion, Starhawk, Sabra, Thunderball, and the Time Variance Authority, that TVA. Sal Buscema is the one who's co-created the TVA. He won the Inkpot Award in 2003, the Hero Initiative Lifetime Achievement Award in 2013, and the Joe Sinnott Hall of Fame Award from the Inkwell Awards in 2021. A true and utter legend of that part, and just one of those that, we're losing these legends more and more, but the fact that we get to his work and his creations live on is a great testament. So I wanted to take a moment to honor a Marvel and comic book legend, Sal Buscema. We rest in power, and you will be greatly missed.
Yes, and incredible work. I was first introduced to him through Spectacular Spider-Man. If you take a moment to look through some of his work, you will recognize a lot of pages and just iconic covers from your childhood, if you are around my age or so, then a lot of these will be familiar to you, including and I think Chris actually has it with him for our video listeners. Yes, an iconic cover of him and the Green Goblin.
Yeah, spectacular as I'm holding up. This is one of my most favorite utter runs of Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man. J.M. DeMatteis and Sal Buscema. This is one of my favorite runs of Spider-Man. An iconic duo. Finally, this came out in the past year in format. But so glad. Never got to meet him in person, but at least I have his work right there. So, but anyways, thank you so much for all your work, and our hearts go out to his friends and family on the passing of Mr. Sal Buscema. So, all right. No easy way to turn this transition to the topic, but as we said, our lead topic, our lead discussion today is going to be breaking down the first 4 episodes of Wonder Man. And, we're just going to call it a mini-series right now. And so what was your – and I think David and I will go on record, and we've had gone on record, that this was not a show that we were getting really excited about. We weren't necessarily saying who asked for this. It was more like, to be honest, like this wasn't a show that we were going to be, really excited about. But I'm going to turn it over to you, David. What were your thoughts, non-spoiler thoughts, on just, the whole thing, after you watched everything over the last 2 days?
Yeah, high level thoughts are for a show, it is a very good show. It surpassed my expectations, and yes, the bar for me was set very low. Like you said, I wasn't given the whole "who asked for this," but I was also like, "This is an interesting choice by Marvel." Plus, the lack of really hype going into this leading up to it. I think they really didn't start promoting it until the week of. That didn't fill me with a lot of anticipation, but as a show itself, I think that it's a good show. As a Marvel property, I think that it falls a little bit short, but it's still a good watch. It's still something that I think that people could watch without having any knowledge of the MCU and still get some enjoyment out of.
Yeah, it was a show. As I started watching it, I said, okay. I mean, seeing every episode, even though we knew kind of going into it where it was going to be short episodes, which I was like, okay, selfishly, this means that it's not like an hour each episode, or as the Marvel say, 47 minutes. It says an hour, it's 47 minutes because the rest of it's credits. I will say that I'm glad I get to eat my own words on this. Is this the best Marvel show has ever created? In my opinion, no, it is not. I have different opinions, but I am saying I was pleasantly surprised at how much I did enjoy it. This is not a show I will say you have to rush out and see right now and do it, but if we're in the kind of the part of the season where there's not a lot about, there's not a lot like we are really, getting airplay and you have to see and see. I would take the time to just sit down and watch it and enjoy it. You don't need any kind of real prior knowledge of the MCU. It's just it's a good show that I think Yaya and Ben Kingsley do a great job together. That's what I kept on hearing, is that their chemistry together, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Ben Kingsley, do have such great chemistry as Trevor and Simon Williams. And that's what really kind of I was looking forward to every episode, just kind of seeing the building of that relationship between them and the kind of twists and turns it goes on. And for a character like Trevor that we got introduced to in Iron Man 3 that continues to stick around and pop up in the most interesting places, I'm like, okay, I mean, that wasn't on my bingo card. I mean, but it was a very interesting show that has a beginning, middle, and end, and we'll kind of hold off until next week to say, like, do we want to see more Simon Williams? Do we want to know? Do we want to see? We'll kind of hold off on those kind of questions. But overall, did I feel I wasted my time watching the show? No, I did not feel I wasted my time at all. I think it's one of those moments that I applaud Marvel for giving it a chance. I don't know under the current regime would this show have ever been greenlit. I don't think so, but it is something that we talked about earlier a couple weeks ago of how it's very unfortunate that every single minority-led project has gotten some sort of the binge treatment, either dropping all at once like this, or half and half, or not a lot of you marketing stuff like that. This did get some marketing. This did get a little bit better marketing than others. Not a a little bit more, but it wasn't like a Loki or anything like that. But after watching the whole thing, I would be very surprised how this show would survive if it was week by week. I think this would have died very quickly in the conversation. Don't get me wrong, I'm not advocating for this, but I think Disney needs to take a hard look at if they are going to go to this model. Let's, now that you've gone basically Echo, Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, these shows that are all minority led have all ended up getting the binge treatment. We've got to be careful about that because I'm saying that for this show, it made sense. I'm not saying it should be the norm, but for this show, after watching, I say, yeah, this is going to be tough to kind of do week by week and keep interest. So,
Yeah, I definitely agree. The format, it worked well for this. I don't see any future projects that being the same thing. You I get you, they have to view each one and go, okay, how are we going to do this? But there seems to be a running theme. And because of that, you may just want to, even if your next minority led project does lend to that, you might want to hold off a bit just to let that thought process settle down a bit.
or find a way to sell it at that point instead of just making it seem like you're trying to dump it at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bears Lair said no. I have to say, crept up on me. Wasn't expecting what we received. A good chill series to watch and enjoyed chemistry so much. That chemistry really made me enjoy it. So, all right. Well, are we ready to jump over the spoilers roll after our first ad break?
Let's do it.
All right. So, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what we chose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. So, give it that. Words are tough today. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right. So we're going to, I've got these lovely notes I put together at this point. We're just kind of talking about the highlights of this. So we open with struggling actor Simon Williams. The first episode is called Matinee. So Simon Williams wants one thing more than anything else. He wants his dream role. He wants to become a star. It's like any actor or actress out there working with his dream director. Feels like an opportunity of a lifetime if he could only get out of his own way. And so, it opens up with, in quiet nostalgia, a man and his young son sit in a movie theater eating popcorn, watching a delightfully cheesy film. Pure, it looks like out of the 70s at that point, Wonder Man, with the pure, like one of his first costumes from the comics. And you just get that seed planted in Simon Williams' young mind about this idea of being an actor. Then we flash to years later. He's considering himself a serious actor and is thrilled to be cast on the latest season of American Horror Story. And so this is where we start beginning. And they did talk about this when the show was, when they started talking about the show and what was going to be done. Like they were putting a lot of our reality, like American Horror Story, real life actors and actresses in this show, not playing themselves or the show. So I went American Horror Story. I was like, wow, that's interesting. What did you think about that? Did that take, when we go with this, is that going to take you out of it, or is that like kind of say I can see that?
I thought this was a cool little moment by Disney of flexing their muscle without being too over the top to we own everything, because Disney owns Hulu and FX and things like that, so they can reference American Horror Story. They can reference Josh Gad's time in Frozen. They can reference all these little things, and it's still within their domain. But for us, we're just like, oh yes, no, I recognize that show. I recognize this thing. Now they did add some non-real stuff in there. There's a on the back lot. There's a sign for Rogers the Musical, the
Yep.
movie, which is getting greenlit. So
Rogers the Musical, the movie, yeah, still around. I love it where it was one of those things. At the at, when you finish the show, now you finish Wonder Man. Why don't you watch American Horror Story season 1? It's like, ooh, that's a choice.
yeah, I there's something like, oh, okay, no, I've watched that. Yeah, I recognize that. So that's a cool little fun moment.
Yeah, so I don't think it really took us out of it because Marvel's always, even the comics, has always kind of put them in the quote unquote real world, while DC has not necessarily. They have kind of real world cities and places, but never really put themselves into the quote unquote our reality at that point. So little differences. It didn't totally take me out of it, but his excitement for this, being on this show, being basically a day player. He's only there for a day. I wouldn't say he's a glorified extra, but his overconfidence, like he's making all these notes, which actors and actresses do, and kind of get in the mind of the character, things like that. Really excited to meet the director, but then he starts literally giving suggestions that the director's like, oh, okay, I can get into that, and then he keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing to the point where these improvements, the director becomes so fed up, and then one of the people come over and said, hey, the showrunner has decided to make some changes, and actually, we don't need you anymore. Thanks for your time. Bye.
Yeah, they said that the director thought about it, and this scene seems too familiar with the scene he's done in another project, and they don't want people to get like this whole convoluted thing. And yeah, so you're no longer needed. I did laugh at the moment when he was giving his suggestions and he was talking about moving the lighting of the moon.
Yeah.
And the rigger guy was like, oh, it's only going to take a couple of minutes. And the assistant director looks over him at like, if you don't shut up and stay out
I'm
of
gonna
this,
fire you. Oh yeah, because as I knew they were going after he kept on pushing, it's like, oh, he's gonna get let go because I could see
Yeah.
it in the director's face. So, but yeah, so Simon leaves, goes home, and why not? It almost seems to me they were channeling like, if you have you seen Stripes?
Yes.
Okay, that kind of opening has seemed like everything going wrong for Bill Murray's character at this point. This is kind of very much in line of that because he goes home, sees his girlfriend Vivian packing up her belongings, saying that she's leaving him. He never lets her in emotionally. He's consumed with himself. He's kind of a jerk. He can never get out of his own way. And she walks out, and Simon braces himself against the bathroom sink, and he lets his emotions surge and begins to shake, and then hinting at something dangerous beneath the surface. So we have already getting hints of Simon having some sort of abilities, but unless you read the comics like we do, you don't know what he has. So
Yeah.
what's he gonna do to calm down? What does he do, David, in order to get himself back to center?
Well, first of all, I was shocked and pleasantly surprised that they started introducing his powers a little bit
Yeah.
early because I thought this was going to be something where we had to wait until episode 4 or 5 to start getting
Or the
that.
Pentultimate, like the changeover in the costume.
Yeah, getting that look into it. So the fact that they just went in for it right then and there, and we got that moment of his powers, and they never hid it from us from that perspective. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool to just you're already establishing that character like that. So I did very much enjoyed that aspect of it.
No, that's a good point. I liked how they kind of zoomed in on the eyes, so you can kind of see like his powers are, kind of, not alter him, but like kind of how he's kind of getting focus mode at that point. So, but where does he go in order to get back to feel happy again?
So he decides to go hit up a movie. Acting's his thing. He fell in love with acting at the movie, so he goes to see a little matinee show.
Yeah, he goes to Midnight Cowboy, and I have to say, pretty impressive. Even though they didn't show kind of the racier scenes of that movie at that point, of saying, out of every movie they could have picked in their catalog at that point, Midnight Cowboy. But I kind of gathered in the sense of they were going for a buddy movie at that point.
Yeah.
Midnight Cowboy is a buddy movie in an interesting way. But who does he see in the audience talking very loudly on his phone, but not during the movie? He made that very clear.
Yeah, he was. Movie hadn't started yet. We hadn't
Yep.
even gotten previews yet. But our friend Trevor Slattery, Trevor, is at the movie having a phone call that any and everyone can hear.
Mandarin. That's me. Yes, Trevor's back after he somehow has gotten out of the, survived Shang-Chi and that whole thing. We have been wondering where he's been. Well, he suddenly pops up here, and actually, Simon Williams is kind of a fan. He kind of, looks at him as, you got a kind of a raw deal, but he was impressed with what he has. And at one point, Trevor just excuses himself and says he's late for an audition for the new Von Kovac film titled Wonder Man.
Yeah, I also found it funny that, and this happens a lot throughout this show, when Simon references Trevor's past, or sometimes when Trevor references his past, they mention things that he's been in, and they're all things that Ben Kingsley's been in.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, a little bit of
Yeah.
just a little
So
wink
he's
and a
like,
nod.
You may know me as the Mandarin. He's like, no, I know you from this movie that you were in back in 1970. Like, that changed my life. He's like, oh, well, that's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. So Simon gets on the phone with his agent, saying, not on the phone, but he goes to the agent's office, storms in, and demands why she didn't let him know about these auditions. And she was like, oh, it kind of slipped my mind. Basically, she doesn't think much of Simon because
Yeah.
Simon keeps on self-sabotaging his career, and she'd rather find a way to get rid of him and jettison him than even giving him a chance.
Yeah, and I do think it's funny that they mentioned that Leonardo DiCaprio was being considered for the role, and Leonardo DiCaprio has famously said he does not want to do superhero movies.
Yes, it's beneath him at that point. So a little tongue in the cheek there, but somehow Simon sees exactly who to contact, poses as his agent's secretary. I don't think he poses as his agent. I think he poses as her secretary. I think.
He poses as the secretary's fill-in because,
There you go.
per the phone call and the voice that he's putting on, the secretary is sick. He's filling in. The secretary was supposed to get Simon on the audition. So can we get this done now before the agent gets all upset? And it was a good ruse.
Yeah, and it gets him into the door, and so he walks in, and he has to fill out some paperwork, including signing a document that's called the Doorman Waiver, certifying that he does not possess superpowers. Well, we'll revisit that when we go over episode 4, what that exactly means. Because basically, they don't want superheroes to be in the movies, which is kind of interesting. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, is this kind of, even though Sokovia Accords don't exist anymore, one thing that I was reading today with some of the interviews is that they purposely did not place this show in any sort of what has happened in the MCU,
Yeah.
There's very little references at all to places. So I think they'll just do what they normally do, is just, where's it fit on the timeline? That's just the next project. Oh, okay, we took the cheap man out. But there's kind of nothing there. I mean, if we were going to say something, okay, this is probably at the very least, somewhere between Iron Man 1 and Endgame. At that point, you could easily have done something about that. But, so he's in there. He sees a whole bunch of other people trying to audition for Simon Williams, and then he sees Trevor emerging from the audition because he's also auditioning for Wonder Man, and he's cracking jokes, smiling at that point. But then Simon kind of gets in over his head and starts having a panic attack, and Trevor goes there and tries to ground him, which is kind of, you don't really see that people trying to, who are in competition with each other, trying to help each other, you know?
Yeah, pulls him into the he can see that he's just disheveled, pulls him into the bathroom, coaches him through what to do, and he's even says he's not trying to ruin his audition, he's trying to help him out. He's trying to give him what he needs, because he has faith that he can do it.
Yeah. So he's able, grounded by advice, Simon delivers a very strong addition. And I loved it when some of these clips were coming out the week or so before. They talk about, I'm in the void or things like that. And people are like, oh, he's talking about the void. See, he said the thing from Deadpool and Wolverine. That means he's from the void. It's like, no, 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 no. I especially loved it when you heard, when he was watching the original Wonder Man movie, he says those lines and said, see, it was nothing. It's just a line for the stuff. But he gives it such, you can see Simon when he's really in it, that he really gets that kind of, he goes really deep into the character. And so he gives a good audition. So Simon takes Trevor to lunch where they have this kind of philosophical conversation about acting, intention, and fate. And Trevor cryptically suggests that something momentous is unfolding, and Simon smiles politely and leaves, unsure what to make of the comment. But then we get towards the end of the episode. Trevor prepares to eat a salad. His phone rings, and the voice on the other hand is stern and urgent, reminding him that Simon Williams is a superpowered threat to national security, and Trevor listens silently as the caller vows not to rest until Simon is taken into custody. So this is our first hint that Trevor is not necessarily on Simon's side totally. He is something, he's working for someone. At this time, we don't know who.
Yeah, and this was a shock for me for them to, at the end of episode 1, reveal this twist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wasn't expecting it to be explained to the audience so early, but again, it's one of those where they are subverting a lot of my expectations.
Yeah. But that's how episode 1 ends. So it was kind of just, again, a good intro episode, a good pilot episode, kind of, nothing too crazy, a good kind of hook at the end. When they were putting out the idea of what Wonder Man is, it's the MCU, the studio. Upon reflection, you're poking little funs and hints of that, what Hollywood is like, but I would go as far as comparing it to the studio. That's it. It's not necessarily what it is.
Yeah.
But so episode 2, entitled Self Tape. So this is where we start getting into what's been going on with Trevor Slattery, and his past kind of resurfaces almost immediately. So while flying back to the United States from Asia after Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, so again, we know kind of a timeline of this. So even when I said like after Endgame, really it's after 10 Rings, because Travis Slattery had to kind of be out there. So we don't necessarily know anything more how he escaped and what he did. But so Trevor strikes up a friendly conversation with a fellow passenger who recognizes him from his old hospital drama. He once starred alongside of Joey Pantoliano, who we're going to see again. And the casual nostalgia visibly unsettles him. We'll find out later why. Moments later, as Trevor walks through the airport, chattering on his new acquaintance, he is suddenly tackled and arrested by FBI agents.
Yeah, they take him down quickly, and the new acquaintance is like, I don't know him. We literally just met. Like, please don't take me down as well.
Exactly.
There's at least 3 guys who just tackle him out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. So Trevor's taken into custody. And the interrogation room, we are questioned by someone who we've seen over and over again throughout the MCU, is Agent Cleary from the Department of Damage Control. And Trevor argues that he has already been arrested, tried, and sentenced for his past crimes. Cleary calmly reminds him that he never really completed his sentence before he somehow was broken out of jail. And Trevor insists that was not his fault. And he's not wrong. That really wasn't his fault.
Yeah, like he had nothing to do with that. He had nothing to do with anything that's been happening to him for the last 10 years. And so in his mind, his debt is paid.
Yeah, so rather than send him back to prison, Cleary offers him a deal. He will assist damage control in capturing Simon Williams as long as he does that. And the plan begins by using Trevor as a bait, luring Simon through the audition for Wonder Man. So now we know what Trevor is really doing, who he's linked up with. So Trevor is a mole trying to get information on Simon Williams' abilities, do that so damage control can swoop in and take him out. So, you know, we'll see how good of an actor Trevor is. You know, he convinced people he was the Mandarin because you'll never see me coming. So back in Los Angeles, Janelle, Simon's agent, confronts him after receiving calls casting about an unauthorized Wonder Man audition. Simon admits that he scheduled it himself and apologizes, but insists this role is too important because he has such a strong connection. He was born to play this role. And so Janelle instructs him to behave, submit a self-tape to the casting agent Ruth and wait. So this is where we start delving into what, you know, actors and actresses have to do, you know, with especially during pandemic, submitting these kind of self-tapes for auditions.
Yeah,
And,
it's cool that we see his whole process, recording himself reading the lines and talking back and forth, dialoguing with himself. Like he's really going all in on this.
yeah. And he's trying to do what he's doing, but then he's watching himself only deepens his dissatisfaction, and he's scrolling through his phone and finding an old video of Vivian helping him record. That sends him onto an emotional roller coaster. And objects begin to tremble in the apartment, and outside an unforeseen energy pulse sets off a distant car like a boom. So we don't see that go on, but we see exactly the after effects. While Trevor's meeting Agent Cleary at the restaurant, Cleary begins to question whether Trevor is really using Trevor as bait as a mistake. That is interrupted when Simon texts Trevor asking for help with the audition, and Cleary outfits Trevor with a discreet body camera and a tracking ring that he's supposed to collect data once placed on his computer. So he goes to Simon's apartment, but Simon insists they leave, saying that his space feels emotionally bad. Like he was like, I thought we were gonna go, and he's like, no, we're not doing that because his apartment's probably in a huge disarray.
Yeah, it's got some bad juju here, so let's go somewhere else.
So where do they go? Where do they end up going to?
So they go to a tape rental shop called Ahoy Tapes, place that actors go to in order to film their stuff, and it's a by the minute rate.
Yeah, by the minute. Whoever heard of such a thing? By the minute. Yeah. So, and I love it how she says Trevor is gonna do the off camera dialogue, and she's like, no, you signed that thing. I have to do it all.
Yeah. So she's like, nope, give me the slides. I'm the one reading with you, and he's just like, oh, it's like part of the contract.
Yeah. So that it ends up not going well. So they leave with no option left. Trevor says, I'm gonna make a call to see if I can get access to another place. And he goes and sees, they go meet up with Joey Pantaleon's home. Joey Pants. I'm sorry. Let me just say this right now. I love Joey Pants. I love he's a great character actor. I enjoy it. But I could not stop chuckling at, if that's his hair when he really has hair, that's crazy. I mean, we already see what what Vaughn's gonna look like later at that point. But man, I couldn't stop laughing at Joey Pants' hair in this scene. I don't know about you, but I've never seen him with hair like this.
Yeah, no, this was a whole different look, and I'm just like, I don't know the crazy old man look that he's going for here, but it was kind of jarring at first. It took me a minute to get used to, between the hair, the round glasses. So
as soon as I heard the voice, I was like, oh, I know who this is, but it just doesn't fit. I'm used to him being bald or anything like that. So Simon's very starstruck because he loves Joey Pants, and Trevor's not really happy he's there. The visit turns very uncomfortable when Trevor accuses Joey Pants of stealing the lead role in his old hospital series. And Joey's just like, that I didn't steal anything. you
Yeah.
asked him to take the role, fearing the pressure was too much. Though Trevor remembers the exchange, though, and he says like, "You got drunk. You became like a problem on set, and I took over because they needed someone." And the exchange leaves Simon very shaken. They leave, and Joey Pants
Baby's
is
day out sucked.
yeah. Just visibly says Trevor's career is over, and I love it that they found out about Wonder Man. So when they leave, he calls up his agent. Why was I not told about the Wonder Man? Everything's about Wonder Man.
Yeah.
So back at Simon's apartment, they finally record the audition tape. Satisfied, Simon steps into the bathroom, suggests about ordering pizza. Trevor removes the racking wing, puts it on Simon's laptop, and while waiting, Trevor notices this random sheet on the wall. He pulls it down, sees the hole, and he's just like, care to talk about that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I mean, it's kind of a moment.
that was a lot of damage underneath that sheet. Like you could tell. I don't know how Simon thought he was gonna hide that with his sheet or what his plans are. And I'm like, you're renting in L.A. Buddy, you're losing your deposit.
Yeah, that's not happening at that point. Yeah, you're screwed in so many ways. So Trevor deflects by recommending the pepperoni pizza. Simon agrees. They leave the place to order, allowing Trevor to quietly retrieve the ring. And so that's where we leave it right there. So more and more hints about Simon's abilities, but never really kind of seeing the full gamut of it. So then we come to episode 3. I'm gonna mispronounce this. Pacoma.
Yep.
Pacoma. Okay. So this episode opens with a haunting flashback. Young boy sits in a doctor's office following a house fire. His mother, speaking anxiously in a Haitian accent, pleads for reassurance that her son is unharmed. Older brother bluntly suggests that the boy caused the fire, only to be silenced. After a thorough examination, the doctor delivers a startling conclusion that there are no burns, no smoke, inhalation, not even irritation in skin. Against all logic, the boy is completely unharmed. Well, who is this that this is?
We're getting a young Simon, and the fact that the doctor is just amazed that there's no smoke inhalation, nothing's wrong with his lungs, no scarring, no burning, no anything. She's like, he is perfectly fine. You should and this is before like really the dawn of superheroes at this point. So the doctor's not thinking twice that this is an enhanced individual or a mutant or anything else. She's just like, you should just thank God he's fine and take your boy home.
Yeah. So in present day, Department of Damage Control Secretary Dean convenes a tense meeting with his agents, including Agent Cleary, with the raft sitting half empty. That's good to know. And Congress scrutinizing the agency's budget. Dan demands results. Arrest people. Make things. Make big news stories. Directive is simple. They need bodies, they need them fast. So Cleary outfits Trevor Slattery with a wire and orders him to gather more intelligence on Simon Williams' mother's birthday party. Simon, unraveling while waiting to hear back for his Wonder Man audition, repeatedly calls his agent, Nell. She finally snaps, telling him to stop calling him and wait. And Trevor overhears and helps Simon calm down and running lines with him. So Simon then remembers he's got a family obligation. He's been dreading to go see his mother. And hoping Trevor's like, oh, well, I'll come along and, I could always help you calm down if you get stressed out. And he tells Trevor he can't mention his firing from American Horror Story because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. So what goes on at the party?
So we go to the party. We meet the family, and we especially meet Simon's brother Eric, who is not at this point does not seem to be a fan of Simon or his life.
However, in the comics, he is called the Grim Reaper.
Yes, it's very funny the juxtaposition. So you have the mom who's super proud of her son, super loving, everything else, and Eric is just like, oh, it's you. Like, does not want him to be there. But, the entire family starts to show up, and you just get this wonderful moment of seeing the love of his family that he had back home, even if he's not feeling the love from his brother.
Yeah, his brother is just, he presents himself as I'm together. I'm not the screw up in the family. I've got a career. I'm advancing up at that point. Even drops his own Satchel Huddle hints to Simon saying, well, I might have some positions open if you want to make something out of your career. And he's like knocking him for being an actor, not anything coming about it. And so later on, the he eventually he talks about having an audition for the Von Kovac film of Wonder Man, and he just says you're wasting your time. You're chasing these fantasies. And as it winds down, Simon gives his mother her birthday gift of the ice cream maker that she's long wanted, and Eric just says like, "Oh, well, yeah, that's nice. Yeah, you didn't really buy this because your mom's always supporting it. So really, your mom already paid for this.
Yeah.
So." And then she says, well, the American Horror Story, you leave your brother alone. And then Eric picks up on it and said, well, what really happened? I don't buy for a second. And he's like, oh, I got fired. He said, I got let go for creative differences. Oh, he got fired. So Eric keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing. And Simon just loses control, slams his fist down on the granite island, just shattering it. And I'm surprised no one got really seriously hurt with that.
Yeah, this whole thing just like explodes under the psionic power of Simon, and they turn away and everything, but the fact that no one got hit with any debris or anything else. Simon's there, Eric's there, their mom's there, and Trevor's there, and no one gets touched by anything, but they all witness this. This is Trevor's first time witnessing firsthand the power as it comes out.
But it's interesting, like they're scared of what happened, but they're not like, "Oh my God, get away from me" or something like that. Like it's something that they kind of feel like they've seen before. I don't know. I just got that saying they weren't like losing their minds when he did that.
Yeah, this you could tell this isn't the first manifestation of this power.
Yeah. So they leave. Trevor follows behind him, and so on the side of the road, Simon admits that he does not understand his powers and confesses that no one outside his family has ever seen them. Worse, the doorman clause may permanently bar him from acting, which he's scared of because he signed his name to it, and then he basically lied. And Trevor tells him that he says it comforts him through him, but Simon asks for space, so claiming he needs the bathroom, Trevor exits the car, removes the wire, destroys the SD card. So Trevor's like, he wants to protect Simon because he doesn't, like, he's trying to find his way, and I think Trevor kind of sees himself in him as a down in his luck, like, underdog story that he generally wants to be a good person. And so when Trevor returns, Simon's still shaken, but not for the reason Trevor expects. Janelle has been calling for both of them. They have been called back for the second round of auditions for Wonder Man, and that is how the episode ends.
Yeah, and this is another moment just bringing Simon and Trevor together. Like Simon embraces him, just like feeling as if Trevor is the reason that he is at where he's at, the reason why he did good in the audition, the reason why he's at this calm place. You could tell he's starting to give a little bit of that credit to Trevor.
Yeah, so the final episode we'll go over tonight is episode 4, Doorman. So this was an interesting episode that all filmed in black and white until the very end of the episode, and it wasn't until about a fourth of the way through it I was wondering where we're going with this. It seemed like, are we a show within a show, or what are we doing here? And so Damar Davis, is played by Brian Bowers. He works as a doorman at a popular nightclub and controlling access to the VIP section, determining who gets in line. And among the club's regulars is Josh Gad, playing himself, an interesting version of himself, who greets Damar warmly each visit. Their familiarity earns Gad and his entourage special treatment, allowing them to bypass the line, much like any celebrities or any kind of, creme de la creme of society, I guess. And then in closing one night, club owner Bridget Bailey confronts Damar about what she perceives as lack of ambition. She urges him to want more for himself, and Damar calmly is just like saying, I like my job. I like being a doorman. and I'm content where I'm at. And dismissing his satisfaction, Bridget orders him to take out the trash. So while doing so, Damar discovers a dumpster, a Roxxon dumpster, leaking a strange, shimmering black substance. And drawn to it, because why not? A strange secret? Yeah, let's go look into it. So he pokes his finger in it and just goes into. He suddenly vanishes into this goo, and he finds himself kind of in this literally a void, or like I kind of equated to like the spot from the Spider-Verse films, and a room lined with glowing doors. He panics, screams, only to awaken somehow on his kitchen floor, unsure of how he got there, what his experience was. Was he dreaming? Did he have a moment of insanity? And his confusion deepens when his dog jumps into him and falls straight through his body. So what happens after that, David?
He goes to try and retrieve the dog, goes downstairs, and ends up in his neighbor's apartment. Neighbor comes out the shower. She's freaking out. Again, he's still like, I have no
Yeah.
idea what's going on with this. I was just trying to get my dog. She grabs a vase and just hurls it at him, to which it passes through his body. He takes the dog and flees. She's sitting there shocked. No one really knows what's going on.
Yeah. So again, Roxxon, even though have we really dealt with Roxxon like officially at all in the MCU? Like really dealt
We've
into
only
it?
we've only seen them in backgrounds.
Yeah.
They've been in the show Cloak and Dagger mentions them, and there's been some other MCU
That doesn't
projects
count.
that have
doesn't
had the Roxxon logo in the background and things like that. So we know that they are a huge company within this universe, but it's never touched on that they are the big bad Exxon Mobil's of the world.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's just kind of interesting. Like they it's for us comic book fans say, hey, they did it, but it's just like where are we going with this? It's now we're how deep into the MCU and we really never dealt with Roxxon as a corporation. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So the following night, Josh Gad is back at the club. How do you like him doing the rap version of "Summertime"?
Jay Gad in full effect, yo, and then he pours a drink on a patron's head just in the middle of it. I mean, he is definitely an over the top Hollywood elitist version of himself.
I guess I'm sure he had a lot of fun trying to be like that. So
Yeah.
so a fire eventually breaks out for some reason, and then the main exit jams, trapping the patrons. Acting on it, Damar phases through the door. And so, in order to get people out, he instructs people to pass through him, and Gad leads the charge until all these people pass through Damar, and everyone makes out safely. And grateful and impressed, Gad offers him a job that he can't refuse. He's going to become his bodyguard. And what do you say? How much does it pay? Like a month or something? Something crazy?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact amount, but it's an astronomical amount
It was
for
like
him
$20,000, like maybe a week or so. It was like crazy money.
Ah.
And so to be his bodyguard. So he soon uses the powers like to help Gad avoid crowds, because Josh Gad's gonna have like crowds going everywhere at that point. And using his powers, he helps him out, getting out of those situations. And Gad proposes something bigger: casting Damar in a movie called Cash Grab, where his abilities come to be a centerpiece. The film's a hit. Damar becomes an overnight sensation, known for the catchphrase "Ding Dong." Dumb, but okay. But fame arrives, but just as it arrives, it fades just as fast, because Damar's popularity declines. It becomes kind of a gimmick, a meme, and his finances collapse because he's not really good with it. Like sometimes with people who have no money, don't know how to manage it, and just kind of get a little bit full of themselves, and it becomes a punchline. So, sensing an opportunity, Gad reappears at just the key moment to revive Damar's career. I gotta love it. What was it like? Some of the stuff he was signing his name to, like, had like major like health issues and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, his career goes for Cash Grab 2, and Damar's gonna be like, yeah, sure, I need to revive my career. So, what happens during the filming of Cash Grab 2?
Yeah, during the I mean, Cash Grab too, there's a scene, and you can tell Demar's just kind of out of it at this point. He's been partying a little bit too hard, and they reach a scene where Josh Gad is supposed to be making his escape through the side of this vault area, um, and so Josh Gad goes to do his scene. He throws the bag through and then tries to dive in, and next thing we know, Damar's throwing up some substance, and Josh Gad does not come out the other side.
My question is, did he throw up Josh Gad? He became a liquid.
Yeah.
And yeah, we don't know what happened to Josh Gad. He's just gone. And so the entertainment industry just loses its mind. Never find out where Josh Gad is. And so the industry lobbies and passing for legislation known as the Doorman Clause, which permanently bars superheroes from working in the film industry and television. And actors are now required to sign affidavits confirming they possess no superhuman powers. So the episode ends with Simon watching the news coverage of the Doorman Clause on his phone while on a set. So this is kind of taking place, I think, in the past almost.
Yeah.
And he rises silently and walks away because he realized what he has, and he's like, oh my God, I'm like, this is going on. So we never find out what happened to Doorman. Was he arrested? Did he just fade away to existence? Is he? We don't know. And that's the thing, like one of those things, like we really don't know what happened to Doorman. We definitely don't know what happened to Josh Gad. I was thinking for a show like this, it might have had a tag at some point as a joke, maybe an end credits of where Josh Gad is, but they didn't even do that. Spoiler alert, they don't do anything like that. So we just kind of left with, we don't know.
Yeah. Funny enough, as I was telling you, off air, Josh Gad has posted that if you're looking for him, you can find him inside of the Doorman.
Yeah, so I did like this episode. I mean, as a whole, I would say it was one of my favorite episodes of the series, and that's sometimes what people like. It's one could call it a bottle episode, but it was one of those episodes like they mentioned Doorman. Did they have to do a whole episode like this? No. It could have been one of those they could have easily it could have been a couple of throwaway lines, But I think it gave some really interesting and kind of comedic things of how this kind of legislation and kind of thing in the industry came about, and I could really see something like that happening in the industry kind of doing something like that,
Yeah.
It's kind of like if it's answered like it's like AI at that point,
Yeah, it answers a bigger question that I don't know who was asking, but now that it's been put out there, it had me wondering, like, yeah, how did they handle superhuman individuals in these everyday settings? Oh, Hollywood banned them because we lost J Gad.
Yeah, Bear saying he was offered to pay him $200,000 a year. So yeah, that's some pretty good money. The potato bag, throw it in the microwave and have a fully cooked potato, and bam, the product has so many lawsuits due to getting burned. Yep, there's that.
The in the car apology afterwards.
Yep,
I'll try and do better.
I'll do better. I'm sorry. Hey, it's like that Simpsons meme. You at least you tried, and you throw away the cake. So, but yeah, the first 4 episodes, I would say, upon reflection, kind of leading into our discussion next week, the next 4 episodes, I like these, but I really think these last 4 I liked a lot more. It seemed, especially the final 2 episodes of this show, I really, really enjoyed. I think those are really where the show shines.
Yeah, this was a good start. It really set up the buddy aspect between Simon and Trevor, but the second half is more loaded with the story and where we're going, and them as characters, them as actors, and where we're going forward from there.
Yep. So, but all right. So next week we will break down the last 4 episodes of Wonder Man, and so we're going to take our next ad break. And as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so give that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, so we're going to transition from Wonder Man to Daredevil Born Again Season 2. So I think our level of excitement just for Daredevil alone, as I'm wearing my Daredevil shirt, really high. And from what we gathered from kind of the analysis of this and those that this appears to be pretty much the Comic-Con trailer that was put out this summer. So which is rare. Usually the Hall H or whatever, I know this wasn't a Hall H, but whatever is shown at Comic-Con typically in these kind of cases aren't necessarily exactly. They may take scenes from it, but not basically the exact same trailer to give it some sort of exclusivity. So but as always, we're going to break this down and stop it at different points. So let me pull up my notes as we go into this. All right, so sound will be off so we don't get copyright strike. So just straight off the bat, we get an aspect ratio change as the trailer opens. It's almost like an eye-opening to kind of illustrate Matt's point of view. And who do we see there together? We see Matt and Karen smiling, looking happy together, but they're not necessarily in like an apartment or thing. They're hiding out, you know?
Yeah.
But I know some people were kind of having a little problem with this. Do you have a problem with Matt and Karen kind of smiling and being lovey-dovey with each other as the world around, as New York City around them is like being taken over by Wilson Fisk? I know some people were like, I don't know how I feel about that. I was like, get over yourself.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, you got to find some joy within the darkness. You know, we don't know the full context of that scene, what's going on. Like if they're just having a moment where he's smiling, he's breathing because something was said, and it's just like so much of a this is a shit show that this is us laughing about how bad things are happening.
I know, yeah. Stop reading too much into it. So the song that's actually playing during over the trailer is "Lithonia" by Childish Gambino, and it's about how fame doesn't bring you anything, and that no one is going to care about you or what you've done when the world ends. So you can work as hard as you want and be known for so many things, but in the end, the world, or in this case, the city of New York, will just leave you behind to fend for yourself. Everything that you considered important is now worthless in this world. So that's kind of I think it's a very appropriate song for where we're at in Daredevil's world.
Yeah, and Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, on a lot of these tracks, including this one, works with a composer named Ludwig Göransson, who also works on almost everything that is done by God. I don't know why his name just escaped my head. Black Panther.
Ah, yes. You're director, Michael.
Yes,
Ryan Coogler.
yes, Ryan Coogler. So he works with Ryan Coogler on all his projects. So if this gives kind of that theme of stuff that you've heard before, that's why.
Yeah. And so we see someone walk into the diner. As I'm paused right here, we get Dex, aka maybe Bullseye. I don't know if we've officially titled him Bullseye,
And
but
Dex is free, and Dex is looking creepy.
yep. And he's sitting down, getting a milkshake. We last saw him trying to assassinate Kingpin, but Matt took the bullet when he escaped. That shot on the cherry. I'm just saying. You know,
Someone's
kinda,
gonna die for that cherry.
Yeah, that someone's gonna die from that cherry stem right there. Again, Dex can turn into, just like his character he's portraying, Bullseye, can turn anything into a weapon, teeth included. I guarantee you, something's gonna be done with that cherry stem, turning it into a weapon. You know?
Yeah.
So we see, it people laughing with the AVTF, the Anti-Vigilante Task Force, hula hoops. We see a poster in the background for, what's interesting though is the task force. We see them having the Punisher logo on their vest. I'm thinking these are propaganda shots.
Yeah, that's what I got. This is some type of propaganda film or something like that promoting his initiative. You know, in this version of New York, Wilson Fisk is kind of closed off New York. You know, it's running on its own. It's very akin to Arkham City from the Arkham Batman games, where it's like, you know, we're closed off. We're doing our own thing here.
Yeah. And we see kind of a poster in the background with Wilson Fisk, kind of homaging the Hope Obama posters. It also has a tip line to call for reporting vigilantes: 555, no masks. It's a lot more letters and numbers. Just saying.
Yeah.
But this is what, and you get a closer look at it just there. But this is what I want to say. This is like any author. Again, words are very tough for me today. Authoritarian ruling wants to do. He wants to control the populace, to turn the populace against itself and try to control the narrative. And so this is what's going on. So we see kind of Matt and Karen kind of dancing. We see Vanessa and Wilson living it up. But then we get a pause. And Matt is hit with something. And what I want to say is, like, he's hit with something. I think this could be the anti-vigilante task force using a sonic weapon that hurts just him. It's a high frequency trying to take him out.
Yeah, that's.
But also look at the aspect ratio also changed too, because that's what we also saw a lot to symbolize his powers using his powers.
Yeah, when he drops down and then you have the blue flash, that's exactly what I picked up, was that, okay, this must be some type of sonic attack. This is a coordinated thing that they're trying to track him out.
Yeah. And then we get this kind of creepy thing with, like, someone portraying
Mayor Kingpin.
Yeah, Mayor Kingpin. I'm wondering if this could be, maybe some leftover stuff from Muse, or just some simple, like, just people who are against Kingpin just trying to do this kind of underground anti-Kingpin kind of thing that they eventually kind of take over airwaves and things like that,
Yeah, they did state that, some of the stuff from Muse, the art and everything else, would carry over into this season. Like, that would follow them over. So this could be some pre-taped thing from Muse, or it could be something totally different where someone is attacking this beautiful view that Fisk has portrayed for New York.
Yeah, so we see Fisk laughing. We see the anti-vigilante task force, and we get our first look at Matthew Lillard as Mr. Charles, who is a new antagonist in the show, but an antagonist power to Fisk. And he's going to butt heads with him as he tries to climb the political ladder. Now, looking at who he could be and things like that, are they homaging? Maybe he could be, if you've read the Charles Soule run, he could be like the Stormwinds in the comics, who control the ladder to higher office that Fisk may want. That Fisk may want to go for governor. Fisk may want to hire, and so he could be representing that power. But I did find it interesting that he's with the police in this kind of shot right here. So not sure exactly what he would be doing with the police, because he's not a commissioner. He's not saying he doesn't. They haven't necessarily said like he's tied to the police itself, but he is definitely with the cops in this scene.
Yeah, there's definitely some familiarity. And then we get this Matt Murdock is missing poster being hung up.
Yeah, so Matt,
definitely on the run.
Yep, we see Matt kind of freaking out in the church, all this red. We see some boots walking in, and we get to see our first official look at Kristen Ritter returning as Jessica Jones, saying, "I hope you can walk because I am not carrying you." God, I've missed that awesome condescending wit that she has. Love it. This is gonna look good. So we see Daredevil like taking down the AFTV
and it looks
AVTF agent with a billy cubby. Yeah, take him down.
And it looks like he's in the room where Fisk was holding captives, and we saw that at the end of last season.
Yep, Frank was in there at one point.
Yeah.
And that's the question. Like at some point, maybe in just a second, like we'll see him walking through all the cages are empty. So my question at that point is, was Matt maybe trying to lead like the press or someone to kind of see it and all these people in the cages, and Fisk found out and they were all gone, or did Matt free him? I'm more leaning on to think that when he goes down there, Fisk found out he was heading down there and got everyone out and moved them somewhere else.
Yeah. One of those, oh my God, it's empty.
Yeah, so we see just a little bit ago, we see Dex suited up, smiling, bloody. We see Agent storming a house. We see Fisk wearing a white suit now, talking to Daniel Blake, who's returning as his lackey. Rose up fast in the season. And then we later see Buck and Daniel looking at a trunk debating saw or shovel. So we know probably a body is in there.
Yep.
Jessica kicking some butt. Can't get along with that. It'll be interesting. Do you think Daniel's gonna see the truth of who Wilson is? I don't know.
I think this is going to be one of those situations where he is going to see the truth, but he's going to be so indoctrinated at this point that it's not going to matter.
Yeah. So Wilson getting ready to do a boxing match. This probably is like a charity match where the mayor is going to take on a real life boxer. I think at one point Wilson's going to get a little humiliated, but then really go to really lose control and take down the boxer in front of everyone. Yeah. Oh, you got to love Dex making that wink. Some bad stuff's going down in that diner. So, yep, we see the empty cages. And look, Matt's ex looks to be, in an interrogation room, things like that. But my question is, she's supposed to be a pretty high-ranking official in the Fisk administration, so why is she in an interrogation room?
Yeah, who that he has captured is she meeting and trying to get into the head of?
Yeah. We see the shot protesting the AVTF, but so they're protesting something. Something's happened, but like it's on these steps. You look off to the left. It looks to be a memorial. So my guess is some life is imitating art right now, or so art is imitating life, vice versa, however you want to do it. I want to say the AVTF has killed someone that was an innocent.
Yep.
The public's turning against him. More propaganda shots. We see, hey, Matt's teaching Karen how to fight. It's about time.
Yeah.
Then Foggy Nelson returning. And don't get your hopes up, ladies and gentlemen, because this is definitely old style hair of Foggy, because we saw
clean shaven.
Yep. Unfortunately, they keep on trying to tease us with this, but it'll be interesting to see what this flashback scene is going to do. More, gotta love these shots of Daredevil going down with the task force.
And I'm wondering if this is going to be a peek into our one-shot scene.
Yep. So we see him smiling, creepy, and you gotta look at we saw very hints of it, the new black costume at that point, but as the title comes up, the D's go into black. I like DD are evil.
Yes.
Marvel Television are evil. So season 2 premieres March 24th. So I do not think this is going to be dropping all at once. Will we get a 1-episode premiere? We'll get a 2-episode premiere? I don't know. But we do know at least an episode is dropping the 24th. What day is that? Is that a Tuesday or a Wednesday? Please say Tuesday.
Oh, let's see here.
Give me hope.
March 24th is a Tuesday.
All right. We got 2 days to break down, and get ready for a show. I love it. So March 24th, official. We now have officially have a release date. So, all right. Now, did this increase my excitement for what I already was excited for? No. I definitely just like seeing what, this in action after seeing kind of the leak trailer for it. So, yeah, let's see, catching up in the chat. We got this. What's this? Brian Davidson. Oh, hi. Just dropped by on a whim. Nice. Born Again looks great. All right. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. And then foggy flashbacks. Yep. Gotta love the foggy flashbacks. All right. Well, that is what we got for, the breakdown of the trailers. So let us kind of move into, feedback and questions. So I'm going to state this up front. Our good friend, former co-host of the show, Brent, has a good question that we're going to kind of table. David and I have been working on it, but he has asked us to keep it to 10 projects or less. What would we suggest for rewatching as Avengers Doomsday Prep? I said last night in our group chat that I've gotten my 10. I know he said 10 or less. I've gotten my 10. I'm pretty firm on about half of it for obvious reasons. I mean, I think we're both going to have like a firm view on a couple of these,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I need at least another week to sit on it. And I think it might be as long as we don't get any other major news next week, and if all we're doing is Wonder Man, I think we can probably answer this question. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I think by next week I should be a lot more confident. I looked over my list today and I was like 7 of these. I'm like yes, 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 yes. Then the last 3 I'm like yes question mark.
So I'm gonna give you homework, David. You need and Brent, I know you're listening at this point. Can you give us your list by the? Can you give us? How about this? We will do our reveal next week. Regardless, we're gonna do our reveal next week. Can you give us your list before we go to air at that point? So that way we're not gonna influence it, but that way we want to at least share at that point. Since you put the question out, I'll put it back to you. That way you can share your list. Well, we did have a question from Anthony Dorsey, and what did he put down for us tonight?
At the end of the multiverse saga, which movie and TV show will become the projects that most people say, I can't believe I missed that one. It's one of Marvel's best.
Um, he's show and movie. So I will say for movie, it's recent, but when I had to pull up the whole list of the MCU, and I had to look down and say what will be the one that people are going to be like, man, that one was really good, and I'm going to have to say Thunderbolts asterisks.
That is my pick as well. I think that a lot of people have skipped over that one, just superhero fatigue or not really caring about the characters or whatnot. But if you really dive into that one, I mean, it touches on so many levels, and I think that a lot of people can get more than just a superhero film out of it.
And I think as the character study for it, I think a lot of those characters have been in different projects prior to that kind of like touch at different aspects of the MCU, different times of the MCU, and it is literally kind of the Bad News Bears movie of the MCU of just a group of misfits of F and D list characters that nobody gave a shot to, and now somehow are the new Avengers. But and jokes aside, it was my favorite movie last year when it came down to it. And I think it's one of those that I don't think Avengers. I think Avengers Doomsday might, if people go and see that, say who are these characters? It'll get a new life at that point. But I think that's one of those that will put out there. But for the show, I have two. I chose two different ones just because, why not? My first one is animation, and that would be Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think even in our review of it last year, that show really surprised me. And I think it does a great job to honor the legacy of Spider-Man while bringing something new to the table with the characters from it. And I really am looking forward to the next season of it when it comes out later this year, and excited for what the potential of the show is. Was it the show that was originally conceived? No, but I like what they're doing with it, and I think that's one of those that people are, it's not an X-Men 97, but I think it's one of those shows that if you've got a Spider-Man itch to scratch and want something new with Spider-Man, that'll do it. But my show, and I'm going way back to the beginning of Disney Plus with the MCU, I'm going the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I have been a huge champion of that show, despite a lot of people in the fandom saying, "Oh, it's just a movie that was chopped up into a show." There are so many layers to that show, and so many moments where I've talked about how much that show comments, and people will say, "Oh, I don't need politics in my show. I don't need the real world in that show." It's so believable when you have different moments and different things that are dealing with real life issues and just the consequences, not of just real life, but also what it means to represent, to pick up that shield to the
Yeah.
MCU, and what it means to be a representative of who Captain America is, but also a person in Sam Wilson wrestling with the weight of that, and not just picking up that and trying to become the new Captain America, but also what the legacy represents of being Captain America, but also the legacy of being an African American quote unquote superhero in this world today. And I think that show, just to say it's just a standard MCU show, you're missing so much, so many things there, and the play between when you get Zemo brought back into it, Sharon Carter, like there's so much. It's still one of my top tier MCU shows.
Yeah.
What about you? What about your shows?
I can definitely see that. And for me, like when I looked at it, I thought of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I thought of What If, just because there's so many different stories where you could connect to your characters on a different level with that, a different retelling of some stories and things like that. But what I started thinking about was Loki seasons 1 and 2 and how integral that has been to the entire multiverse saga, plus sets up some seeds of what could possibly be in the future. This is something that people might, as we continue on and we get down to Secret Wars and things like that, people may be going back and having to rewatch to see, okay, what here jumped off to there.
Yeah. And going back, Brian Davison still in the chat saying, I was hoping Luke Cage would show up. I think Luke Cage is, I'm thinking that's one of our secret ones that's going to be actually in the show. I think they're dropping those hints. Everyone's being so, but wow, thank you very much. Cheers to you, sir. Thank you for that $10 super chat. We really appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Yeah. Really appreciate that. And saying for you, Thunderbolts as well. Good. Another vote for Thunderbolts. In 2025 was Fantastic Four. Ben Grimm is my second favorite character done right. We're both in agreement. I think we're both in agreement of that. I think in our review we talked about how the dynamic between Ben and Johnny was a lot more nuanced than what the previous iterations have been. Like it, there was still that kind of big brother, little brother kind of thing, but it wasn't annoying. It showed some growth between the two characters that had taken place, but there was some genuine care for both of them. And you're right. I think Ben Grimm and Eben, Eben Baccarat Moss, who had portrayed him, did well by the character at that point.
Yeah.
So we're both on agreement with that. But again, thank you for your very kind super chat.
Yeah, Fantastic Four had a great encapsulation of the family dynamic, and Ben Grimm was done right. And his moment, yes, he's the big, strong guy of the team, but you also got to see his endearing side with the kids in the neighborhood, picking up the car, things like that. Like you got to see those nuanced sides to him, and yeah, really good portrayal.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thank you, Anthony, for the chat. And again, stay tuned next week for our the 10 or less projects we did. I like how Brent said, you didn't have to do 10. I said, I don't know how you don't do at that point. But yeah, we will break that down, and I'm curious to see, Brent, your 10 at that point. I know Mr. Snell will probably be doing his next Travis Told You at that point, so I'm very curious to see that and what it is. So, but all right, let us head into Fact or Fiction. So let me pull up Mr. Snell's from a couple of weeks ago. As David, you get yours ready to go. I love it when we have this lovely dead air, and we're just trying to pull up Twitter, and Twitter just doesn't want to load, and just trying to do all the things.
It knows that this is the time.
This is the time, It's the time. Well, come on.
All right, here I've got it up for us.
Okay, good. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yep, go for it.
All right, so Fact or Fiction number 1, Ralph Boner will appear in Vision Quest. 69% said fact, 31% said fiction.
All right, what do we got next?
Fact or Fiction number 2, Wonder Man will have a cameo from an MCU character that's led a TV or film project. 53% said fact, 47% said fiction.
All right, what do we got for 3?
And lastly, Sadie Sink will be playing Jean Grey in Spider-Man Brand New Day. We have 80% with fact and 20% with fiction.
Man, it's hey, you know what? I'm there for it. If it is, it is. As long as it's a good story to attach to it. So, all right, David,
Yeah.
what you got for your week for fact or fiction?
Okay. Number one, the Department of Damage Control, the DODC, will be the entity that is chasing down the mutants in the next phase of the MCU.
And we just need to hear the word William Stryker leading it at that point. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what they're building towards. I like how this kind of evolution of damage control kind of has become since No Way Home, and now you're turned into this kind of shadowy, like anti-vigilante kind of thing at that point. So I could see what that they're building towards that, especially with rumors that we're hearing about with what Brand New Day is going to be. So yeah, I'm a fact on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, me too. I think that, especially after watching Wonder Man, like it just seems like a perfect build up that, all right, they're going to be the ones chasing down the mutants. We had Miss Marvel, now we've had what we're seeing here in Wonder Man. It's a perfect setup for them being the chasers.
Yeah. So all right, what you got for next one?
All right. Uh Cable from the X-Men, Scott Summers' son, will be mentioned in Avengers Doomsday.
Cable is going to be mentioned. Maybe Josh Brolin will come back at that moment. You know. um, I don't know. I think that may be jumping the shark just a little much on that one. I think that may be just too big of a throwaway. Yeah, I'm gonna go fiction on that one.
See, I'm fact, but
Okay.
I'm not Josh Brolin Cable fact. I am
Oh,
baby Cable fact.
oh, baby Cable. Okay.
Yes, I think something's gonna happen to little baby Cable, and that is gonna be what sets Scott on his moment of needing to take the goggles off.
All right. Well, we'll see at that point, but yeah, we'll put those out there on Sunday
Hold on, we got
afternoons.
one more.
Oh, we got one more. Sorry.
Yep. All right, number three. When Feige is done, he will go produce a DC movie with James Gunn.
Uh, I, jokes aside, at that point, I'm gonna say also fiction on that one. I think Mr. Feige, like with everyone, his ego is enough that he doesn't want to play in someone else's yard that he's not running at that point. Could I see something? I think he I don't see it. Could it be? Yes, but I think he's going to want to do something else where he can be a little more his sandbox versus someone else's.
Yeah, I think it would take, definitely it would take the right project. I think that if they were able to continue to build this world, who knows what's going to happen with Warner Brothers and DC going forward. But if they're really able to build this world and they build back up into a an ensemble, thing, he would come on, maybe not as a lead, but he would help out in some way.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So all right. Well, we will post those on Sunday afternoons. Let your voices be heard with that. Comic book club. So next week we will reveal what our kind of theme's going to be. Probably it's going to take us through most of this year as we march towards Doomsday. I'm going to talk to David offline, see what we want to be as our first choice for this kind of theming for comic book club. So stay tuned. That's going to return official. We'll reveal it next week, and then the following week we will do our first issue of that. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so that is our show, volume 284 in the books. Again, want to thank Mr. New to the chat, Mr. Brian Davison. So thank you again for that super chat and for the fun conversation at the end. And as always, thank you, Mr. Bears Lair, for your always loyal following in the chat every single week. And but yeah, we hope you had a great time, y'all listening at that point with Wonder Man and our Daredevil breakdown. And David, tell people that can follow you and plug what you got coming up because you got a busy weekend ahead of you, my friend.
I do have a busy weekend. You can follow me on all socials at The Phantom. You can follow me here on the GeekVerse Network as part of our wrestling show, The Gimmick. We've got an episode this weekend because we have my personal favorite wrestling pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble, is this Saturday at an earlier start time because for the first time they are live from Saudi Arabia instead of doing it from the Americas. So because of that,
Because money. That's why, because
yes,
money.
because that sweet, sweet Saudi money has got them to start at an earlier time. So we will be going live after the Royal Rumble to give our immediate reactions and breakdowns to some of the debuts, some of the returns, some of the fun moments of that show.
So is the last entry still the secret entry that, as always, seems to be a big tradition with the Royal Rumble? Do we not know who the last entry is?
We do not know who the number 30 is for either yet. There's a
Has
lot of
Co-
speculations,
it,
and
what is? Do we know what number Cody is going to be?
nope. We don't know anyone's. Some years that they've given out people's numbers.
Yeah.
Some years they haven't. This year, no one's number has been
Wow.
confirmed. Right
Okay.
now, there are 18 confirmed entrants in the Royal Rumble. I say that with an asterisk because one of them just got hurt last week, so he may be out. But there's 18 of 30 confirmed male entrants in the Royal Rumble, so lots of room for surprises.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to the breakdown with the gimmick at that point. Check that out on the GeekVerse podcast. So, but yeah, you can follow me on Twitter and all the socials at Chris Balga. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Marvel 8 Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. Our DMs are open across the board. Continue to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. We greatly appreciate it. I want to thank you all for listening and for joining us live in the chat. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, David, post-credits discussion tonight. What do you got?
All right. After the at points hilarious Jay Gad moments from episode 4, what is your favorite playing themselves moment from the MCU?
Do I go low-hanging fruit? I don't even know if it's portraying as himself, but I do you have Kevin Bacon? Because that's who that's the first one. I mean, that's probably the biggest long, like really truly, instead of just a glorified like just blink and you miss it cameo. But Kevin Bacon definitely is up there for me. What about you?
I would say that the Kevin Bacon from the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is pretty up there. I thought, and I know a lot of people hate it, but I still absolutely love Megan the Stallion on She-Hulk. I
That
thought
was
it
good.
was
Yeah.
it was fun for the character and
Yep.
fun for the show.
Yeah. That's a good one. Even though they didn't kind of say portraying himself, I love the Matt Damon cameo. I don't know if he was portraying him. I don't think they were portraying himself, but I just love that kind of, him doing that whole acting. Being, I can't remember who was he. Thor or was he Loki? I can't remember who he was.
He was Loki.
He was Loki. Okay, in that
Yes,
whole
and
reenactment.
Liam Hemsworth was Thor.
Yes, so they weren't paying themselves, but I like that kind of cameo. So not necessarily the spirit of your question, but yeah, Kevin Bacon was very much up there for me, just because again it pays off so much about Peter and how he talked about Footloose and things like that, and just the whole Drax and Mantis trying to get it at that point. It was very much well thought out at that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. That always gets into discussion, like, does real life things take away from this? And I think for the show Wonder Man, we've kind of said, like, you just buy into what the show's trying to do. It doesn't totally take away from it. So
Yeah, for the struggling Hollywood actor aspect of it, it makes sense. The Kevin Bacon scene that made sense because the whole thing was built around, and we had been getting all these references to Kevin Bacon. So that was it was fun. It was a little wink and nod, laugh at yourself moment in that point.
yeah. But anyways, so check us out next week. We will break down the final 4 episodes of Wonder Man, telling and kind of expressing why those last 4, especially the last 2 episodes, really kind of landed the plane for us for Wonder Man. But yeah, if you haven't watched it, catch up on it this weekend. It's a good watch, and hopefully next week I've dug out of Snowpocalypse here at that point, and but we will see you next week. Catch y'all later. Stay safe.
See ya.